my goodness, you guys. I just realized I'm watching this trailer for you right now on the official Star Wars channel. It was posted an hour ago, and it doesn't even have 5,000 views. I took a screenshot of it just now recording. I can't believe this. Yeah, welcome everybody to Jester Bell. Thank you all for being here on this video. Haven't done a Star Wars video in a long time. There hasn't been really anything to talk about, and honestly, no one cares. And that's what we're experiencing right now when they finally released the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. Star Wars' triumphant return to theaters in, 7 years by next year since The Rise of Skywalker came out? So apparently, here's what I'm hearing about this trailer, is that it was cut and ready to go out last week, and it was supposed to come out on maybe Thursday or Friday, but then all the Jimmy Kimmel stuff came out, and all of the fans of Disney and the workers there, people like Mark Ruffalo and Tatiana Maslany, wanted to boycott Disney, so they put it off until today to try to get away from that whole thing. But meanwhile, I would say that the rest of the country is thinking about very different things right now, wouldn't you say? So, they finally released this Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, and I remember once upon a time, a Star Wars trailer releasing would supersede everything. Everyone would want to see that trailer and be excited and speculate. And, finally, like, whatever's going on in the world, finally, a Star Wars thing, an escape. I'm so glad to see this. That is not happening because, typically what I do with trailers, and unless I know exactly what I'm going to say about it right when I see it, is I look around and I see what other people are saying. I try to gauge the reaction. Maybe somebody has brought out and pointed out something that I haven't thought of yet. And I look around on the internet today after this trailer was released, and it was like zip. There's barely anyone talking about it, except to point out that I guess this was a really, really bad idea for a movie. Once again, Star Wars hasn't had a movie since The Rise of Skywalker. Not a good thing to, universally, everyone agrees that The Rise of Skywalker was a terrible movie. So that was the last time we saw it. And one might say that Kathleen Kennedy was wise to keep everything and all the shenanigans of Star Wars to Disney+. But now, Star Wars has just been out of the movie zeitgeist for so long, and Disney Plus managed to just spread bad word of mouth and just damage it even further. But let me tell you why this is such a bad idea on so many levels. Like, it is unbelievable that they are going forward with this movie. This movie is the equivalent if, let's say, Marvel was to say, okay, we have our Loki show on Disney Plus, let's make a movie out of that. Which they did make several movies that were very influenced by events on Disney Plus, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, The Marvels, Thunderbolts, and all of those failed. So first of all, what you guys have to understand is streaming things, they don't necessarily translate to movies because the audiences for things that are streaming and for theatrical oftentimes are very different. It's just like there's audience that are more inclined to play video games and watch movies and vice versa. Like it's proven to be a really bad model to try to take streaming shows and translate them to the theatrical experience. Now, you might have a case for any other streaming service, like, say, Netflix, bringing it over, like K-Pop Demon Hunters was Netflix first, and when they released it in theaters, it did really well, relatively speaking. But Disney Plus, you have to understand, Disney Plus is a failed streaming service, no matter what they say. Barely anyone watches the new content on Disney Plus. The people who have the streaming platform at all use it to watch old content. Their new stuff does not get a lot. But even then, The Mandalorian, the only time that there was a little bit of interest in it is in the very early days of it, where I think that there was still this giant fan base for Star Wars and a very strong lingering of, I think that they can come back, especially when they had Luke come in season 2. Now, I know that it was pandery and key jangly from the beginning and it was meaningless, but just that they had Luke come in as the hero made people think that the attitude maybe behind the scenes at Lucasfilm was changing. How naive everyone was. After that, they had the Gina Carano firing and so much other stuff happen that they realized, no, this is not changing. Especially with them tripling down and saying that they are never getting rid of the sequel canon, which you would need to. So yeah, it was a very different time back then. And I gotta tell you guys, I never thought The Mandalorian was a good show. I always thought that it was boring and just, like many streaming shows, just highly padded out. I just never found it interesting. And even that, Grogu, like the Grogu merch was kind of driving the show. I feel like more people bought Grogu merch, aka Baby Yoda, than actually watched the show, but even that's petered out. So you're bringing back a Disney Plus show that likely didn't get that high a viewership in the first place, just knowing how Disney Plus is, that has already run its course and run out of its goodwill a long time ago, and you're bringing that back. A Disney Plus show that has run its course out is your big triumphant return to theaters? And there's nothing in this trailer, this teaser, really to talk about, which is another thing. It's just a bunch of Star Wars iconography. It's shot like the Disney Plus shows, which is not a plus at all. I mean, the teaser doesn't show anything. The premise they gave sounds entirely generic, like vague nothingness, and the look of the movie is all grayed out and miserable, just like the Disney Plus shows. It looks like a TV show. Who would want to watch this? I think I saw somebody say it's going to play out like 2 episodes of a Disney Plus show. They're really doing this Indiana Jones aesthetic to it, which I thought was funny. Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, you ruined Star Wars, so maybe using the Star Wars nostalgia isn't enough to bring people back anymore. So you're going to use the Indiana Jones nostalgia with the poster and the font and some of the feel of the movie. Yeah, the other franchise you destroyed? But then again, you've destroyed every single one of George Lucas's and Steven Spielberg's franchises, so, there's none to choose from, I guess. But, yeah, no one is talking about this. The world has changed, and in regards to Star Wars, all of the hope, I think, that was left with people, all of the love that was left for this current universe, ended with The Acolyte. Ended with the lesbian space witches and the twin girls who were going to be the actual chosen one, and saying that it's good to be on the dark side because you're discovering yourself, I guess. Leslie Headland's Daddy Issues show, which if you read the interviews with Leslie Headland, yeah, everything going into that show was all daddy issues that she was not dealing with, I should say. So, yeah, that was a show that sort of, it romanticized evil, it romanticized turning to the dark side, it had someone kill her surrogate father, the self-insert of Leslie Headland, which she said that the story was inspired by her relationship with her father, and that was based on, like, her feelings of her father. So when you get something out that bad, you make it so people never want to watch anything again, because here is the thing, like I said, the world has changed. Kathleen Kennedy, maybe, and Leslie Headland, maybe they were convinced that they had enough of an audience, apart from the original Star Wars fans that they hate, that they could get on board with this new stuff. But there aren't enough people there, at least not enough that actually want to watch Star Wars. But they made all these changes to, like, The Last Jedi and all these new characters and the Acolyte. And, it's going to be my self-insert character learning that her father was the bad guy and killing him and becoming, turning to the dark side with her new hot boyfriend and all that kind of stuff. They thought that there was actually going to be an audience for this, and there wasn't. And now they've burned down the old one, which they wanted to burn down the old one, but they wanted to build up a new one, and those people are gone now. So it's like you can't even be making movies anymore because you have to understand that that audience isn't there. So, yeah, to be fair about The Mandalorian and Grogu, I don't think that there is an audience for any sort of Star Wars movie under Kathleen Kennedy going forward. Because, like I said, I think with a lot of current world events, I look around, if you have any sort of level of in touchness with the people around you, you can look and see, Yeah, people are changing a lot. The audience that they thought was going to be there for Star Wars when they made changes is not there. And instead, people are turning way, way, way the other way. And so, absolutely, no one's going to care about this. Everything that they associate with Star Wars is the misery of seeing their great male heroes torn down and seeing their lore just spit on, and everything in the themes about good in that universe turned inside out. And that was the big thing about what made Star Wars so successful, is it was at a time when, there was a lot of cynicism, a lot of very dark movies. And so it was a welcome return to get a hopeful hero like Luke Skywalker and an optimism again that was inspired from the old serials. People oftentimes talk about the Westerns going away, people's tastes changing with the space age. But, I once heard an analogy that, and I'm not sure if this is true. I would have to do more research into it. But I once heard someone posture that the Westerns didn't go away simply because people's taste changed, but Westerns became more cynical, and that it didn't give people the heroism that they originally liked. And they eventually got that heroism from sci-fi movies like Star Wars. And that's actually what happened. If that is true, then you have to understand that right now, I think that people really would like to see heroism. One of the main things I would like to see an actual strong male hero again. I haven't seen that from a Hollywood movie in a very long time. Not someone who needs to be subdued, not someone who needs to be changed. An actual strong male hero. I'm not going to get that from Pedro Pascal in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I honestly don't expect to get that from Ryan Gosling and the Star Killer movie. I don't even know what it's called. They did a picture that came out for that, and it looked like a waterboarding or water skiing commercial, so absolutely no one talked about that either. But yeah, it's just gotten to a point where it's even just beyond feeling apathetic towards Star Wars with people. It's just being apathetic towards this whole Hollywood machine that's been doing all this stuff and just spurning people away from what they wanted. That is why Star Wars was so successful in the first place. It gave people exactly what they wanted at the right time. And maybe Lucas didn't realize that, but that's what happened. And that's what needs to happen with movies now. It needs to be giving people want and reflecting what they feel and what they want to feel with movies. But these Kathleen Kennedy relics, they're not going to be doing that. Now, not to be a completely dour note, I believe, and you guys can disagree with me all you want, I believe that there is a way for Star Wars to be revived. Maybe it could never be what it once was, but I believe there is a way for it to be revived. But the communication of it is key. You would need to not just have a new CEO like Kathleen Kennedy. You would need to not just have new employees. You would need to have both. Completely different regime that are marketing the movies and communicating it in a completely different way. So people would get the sense that it is completely different. My sense is that this is more of the same. You would need to give people the sense that there is going to be a masculinity to it again and a heroism to it again, and that they actually love this universe and the things that once made it great. And you'd have to have good stories once again. I believe that there is a way to do that. But not with this current regime. People are too burned, and honestly, Hollywood has just gotten to a point where they're a little island and everyone is sailing away from it and they just do not care anymore. So yeah, The Mandalorian and Grogu, unfortunately, is looking like the next big Hollywood film to tank. It's unfortunate, but I wonder if now that we're going to get another movie, a Star Wars movie to tank, that maybe Kathleen Kennedy, there's not going to be any more hiding from her PR team about how she's actually just really successful and we just haven't seen it. We'll see, but I personally will just be sitting back and laughing at Kathleen Kennedy's next demise because there's not any hope from me about what her regime is going to do, and so I'm not going to be disappointed or hurt by the failure that I'm about to see. A Mandalorian, a Grogu movie, a Disney Plus show that looks inspired from Indiana Jones, the other movie that you tanked at the box office. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, those are just my quick morning thoughts. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm so sorry if things just kind of seem rushed lately. There's a lot that I'm working on. But thank you all for watching. If you want to support me, please consider becoming a member or a patron. And I will see you guys next time.